Alrighty then. There is information in this video that some RV manufacturers, some RV dealerships, some RV consumers, RV YouTubers, and just in general people that love to troll the internet don't want me to talk about. And do I care? Well, in the words of Dr. Evil, how about no? Welcome to HB RV Lifestyle, and today is your August 2025 RV industry update. Now, part of this video is going to be very boring because I put a lot of context into things. So please try not to fall asleep as I'm boring you to death. But we need to talk about 4 subjects, one fluid video. We're not going to chop it up and create a chaotic mess. We're going to talk about it in one fluid take. And there's 4 subjects that are very important going into August 2025. First, we need to talk about frame failure / frame flex. We already have talked a lot about it, but there's updates not only pertaining to the lawsuit that was filed against Grand Design in Winnebago, but also we need to talk about some of the positive things that have come out of Indiana regarding this subject. We talk about the negative a lot. We also need to talk about the positive. Okay. We also need to talk about 2025 versus 2026 year model. Now that I've had more time to actually look at videos, see product in person, I've started to film some 2026s finally. I have some interesting opinions of what's going on. And that will lead us into quality because there's a lot of complaining across the internet, both that I don't talk about how bad quality is or I talk too badly about how bad quality is. We need to actually nail down quality. And that is something that I've done in a separate video, which I'll get a surprise for you at the end. But I need to remind some folks about what is the reality of quality, not what the fiction everybody wants to write on the internet, both on the over positive side and over negative side. And finally, we need to talk about public relations a little bit. There's RV manufacturers have to realize, and this is part of the subject, RV manufacturers have to realize that public relations should not go through an RV YouTuber. It shouldn't go through a Josh the RV Nerd, a Matt's RV Reviews, a Miles RV. Now, I give a lot of these guys shit, okay? I really do. But they should not be responsible for public relations when it comes to a manufacturer. And we're going to talk a lot about that towards the end and mixed into the middle as well. But where we're going to start is with Grand Design RV, Winnebago, frame failure, frame flex. We've covered this subject a ton on the old podcast channel that I converted to something else. You can check out some of the stuff, season 2, 3, and 4, cover that a lot extensively. What we need to cover is what the update is. So from what I'm understanding, both sides of the lawsuit are going through the motions right now of trying to basically play chess. They're not playing checkers, they're playing chess. And they're each trying to position themselves where either the damage is lessened or the damage is extreme. This is not going to be over quickly. Okay? You're talking about the possibility from the perspective of what I'm understanding. It doesn't mean I'm right, but what I'm understanding is that this could end up thousands of plaintiffs. Not 100, not 90. This over time, just like if you watch Aaron Brockovich, if you watch a lot of movies about big class action lawsuits, this could end up one of the largest class action lawsuits in the RV industry history. Now, how do I feel about it? People ask. Well, first off, how I feel about it is if it was taken care of at the beginning, and this is where public relations is going to kind of mold into this. If this was handled properly at the beginning, then it wouldn't have gotten this far. Okay. Now, on the positive side, Don Clark gets removed and promoted, however you want to look at that. I've got folks in Indiana that tell me he was removed. I got folks in Indiana tell me it was a big promotion, that they felt like he could run the company better from the position he's in now. You know, look, I love all the guys I talk to, and I love all the folks I talk to. I think I extract a lot of information from folks on the manufacturing side, the banking side, the supplier side, but it also can be a little bit of high school drama sometimes. Okay, just like any other, just like Walmart or Target or anything else, there could be a lot of drama, right? But what I've seen is ever since Don Clark has moved away from the position of running Grand Design and that being his solely only job to what he is doing now, Brad Smith has been working diligently to get a lot of these frames fixed. I've talked to a lot of guys that are independent welders, independent service shops in Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas. Now I've got 3 new contacts in Ohio, Florida. I've been talking to some guys I've been speaking with in South and North Carolina, West Virginia. These guys have been instrumental in getting me a non-dealer, non-manufacturer perspective that, like, we're not getting a guy who's sitting in front of YouTube and trying to get ad revenue, right? Even though I appreciate the undercover technicians that try to do their own YouTube and TikTok channels, I'm not bashing them at all. But you're getting a perspective of guys who have no skin in the game when it comes to social media or clout or anything of that nature. And hearing from them that they are getting fast, quick approvals to fix a lot of these frames that are starting to come in is, I mean, it's a very positive thing. Like I said, I have bashed Grand Design to no tomorrow about this whole frame problem. We need to give them credit too. Now, I know Pete West is going to be mad at me. I know a lot of people are involved in that Grand Design Major Issues group is going to be very mad about that statement. I get it because a lot of you have not been taken care of. And I don't think that's right. But I also need to be equal and even, right? When somebody does something right, we need to give credit where credit's due. It needs to be fair. And that's always something I've tried to like pride myself on. I am not the biggest fan of Grand Design RV. Not at all. I think in a lot of respects that company has ruined the RV industry. And this frame failure, frame flexing ruined the fifth wheel market for about 3 years. Made it really hard to sell new and used fifth wheels because people now all of a sudden, if Grand Design, who's the grandpappy of them all, their frames are breaking and failing, that means Forest River is worse. That means Keystone is worse. That means Jayco is worse. That was the mindset. And that's the danger of companies like Grand Design and like Brinkley. Is the danger is you continue to market yourself as the greatest thing since sliced bread, and you're just like everybody else because you use the same components, the same manufacturing techniques, and you prop yourself up marketing as this greatest thing only to sell off a company. And it's bad for the RV environment. Okay, it's not bad for the guys investing. It's not bad for the employees that are getting a percentage or stock or whatever the case may be. I'm happy for them. You know, I'm happy for everybody at Grand Design that made money. I really am. I truly am. That's not sarcasm. I'm a big capitalist. I really believe that if you can make money doing something you love to do, God bless you. Make that money, stack that cash. Not going to ever hate anybody for making money, ever. But if this was handled properly at the beginning, this is why the PR thing at the end is going to be so important to really dive into. But just to throw a little catfish out there, I guarantee you that if you look at the way the CEO of Winnebago handled things during times where they were losing their ass, and you look at what they asked Josh the RV nerd to do, and practically get on camera and tell something that isn't 100% accurate at all, I guarantee you from a PR perspective, everybody learned a lesson. Guarantee. Okay. And but we don't need it to go the opposite way. But at the end of the day, let's give Grand Design props. All I keep hearing is now positive things from a lot of these independent service shops. Again, it doesn't mean everybody's been taken care of. I think everybody needs to be taken care of. I think every one of these damn momentums, reflections over 35 feet, solitudes, all need to be 100% checked and fixed by the manufacturer. If you lose your ass doing it, if you close the company down because of it, I don't care. You do the right thing. If you do the right thing, your customer base will grow again. And just if you guys don't think that the frame failure and frame flex thing has not affected Grand Design fifth wheel sales, you're out your damn mind. And here's how I'm going to tell you how that happened. So the fourth largest Grand Design dealer in the country, I got to see their statistics. They were averaging between 4 stores, they were averaging 3.5 solitude sales a month. That's over the course of a 6-year period, folks. It wasn't one, it was 3.5 per store. So basically, they were averaging, when they had them in stock, they were averaging around 21 a month. Okay. Not the same floor plan, but solitudes, right? Now they're averaging 1.2 per location. Actually, it's a little less than that. So they've sold 22 solitudes out of 4 locations. That's 22 total out of 4 locations so far in 2020. This year, 2025. To give you perspective on that, there's one dealer that sells Forest River Sabres out of 1 location in the middle of the desert that has sold 23. So Solitude and Grand Design have lost market share. They're still at 1, 2, or 3. Don't get me wrong, but the gap closed. And the gap closed because now folks are looking like, okay, can we really trust what Grand Design is doing because of what's going on with this lawsuit? So I believe what Brad is doing, and if Don Clark's involved in it, if Don Clark's promotion, if that's what it was, kind of opened up Don's ability to get this stuff done, if Don is a part of that, then he needs to be given props too. And I've given him a lot of shit. If you actually go back to the podcast, I've given him so much crap over the last 3 years that if he is one of the responsible parties that's trying to move this in the right direction, even if it's to minimize damage, I don't care what the reason is. If they're doing it to move it in the right direction, then we need to give them a pat on the back. If they screw up again, we need to shove our foot up their butt. So either way, I'm very happy about that in that respect. Moving on to 2025 versus 2026. 2025 year model, 2026 year model, not much has actually really changed. Okay, so if you go look at the biggest changes that I've seen so far that are actual physical look changes, Primetime Avenger probably did the most turnaround and the most changes of just about anybody. More than Keystone Cougar, more than Forest River Rockwood Flagstaff, more than Jayco Whitehawk, more than majority of these guys. But if you want to be a realist, all they did was catch up to what everybody else is doing already, that everybody else has been doing for the last 2 years. So if you go to other divisions of Forest River, you go Salem, Wildwood, Evo, they've all been doing the same thing that Primetime just came out with 2026. They've been doing it since 2023. So you have to realize that there isn't a lot of year model change things. So you don't get major changes every year in the RV industry because it would actually collapse the industry. That's what people don't realize. If you go back and because I once had a really deep discussion with Pete Legal a long time ago. Pete was the president of Forest River. Him and I went out having beers one day a long time ago when I was in Indiana for an open house. And I asked him very plainly, I said, why don't you make changes every year? Because this is back when Grand Design was making changes like every 6 months just to keep things fresh. And he goes, and he gave me the top 10 reasons. I'm going to do a video on it because I've been waiting to do it because I wanted to respect Pete's family a little bit because I know it's still fresh and I kind of want to respect the process of they're still getting things together at Forest River. But the reality is it would collapse the industry if every manufacturer made changes every year. There's no new innovations. Okay. If you think that if you got corporate RV dealership YouTuber in Texas somewhere that goes, oh my God, it's so innovative. Oh my God, this 263 bunkhouse by Springdale, they've been building it for 32 years, but every time I see it, it's like I've never seen it before. Oh, come on. Jesus criminy. When I hear that kind of crap, I literally want to throw up and puke because I've been doing this now 15 years. There's stuff that impresses me. And when it impresses me, I say impresses me, but nothing's innovative. There's no new innovations for 2026. None. Okay. Now, in some defense, you have Brinkley RV that has been experimenting with an experimental exterior seal package that, thank God, they're having a tough time removing these videos, but we're starting to see massive water intrusion in a lot of their rigs. Not 1% like their spokesperson says, it's more than 1%. If you just look at the videos, if you look at everybody that's not involved with Brinkley, that has nothing to do with Brinkley, that has nothing to do with any brand, they are simply stating the obvious. But could it be innovative in 5 years? Could Brinkley's exterior package, seals package, could it get better where the entire industry starts to adopt it? It's possible. And here's why it is possible. It's possible because for probably a decade, I refused to sell residential refrigerators and 12-volt refrigerators forever because I did it for a little bit on these luxury fifth wheels, motorhomes. But for so long, it would just, people would just, I mean, it was a disaster. So I remember Giant RV would never order anything with a residential fridge. It was all propane electric, double door propane electric with bighorn. And we were very successful at selling them because, Montana had a residential refrigerator and the batteries would just absolutely die. They couldn't keep the power management of the actual unit was horrible. Fast forward to today, you could tell me it's a 12-volt fridge as long as I know I got 2 solar panels, decent batteries, and the customer has an idea of power management. Technology got better. So technology got really good and everything's awesome. So in the future, Brinkley RV's exterior seals package, let's say 5 years from now, may not have the water intrusion problems they're having today. Maybe the application process becomes better. Maybe the technology to apply it becomes better. Maybe there's more consistency because they have their plant employees there for 10 more years and everybody's just on top of it. They don't have the turnover that a lot of manufacturers have had issues with over the years. So those are the that's pretty much the only real innovation that we can even talk about. And it's not even innovative. It's something that could change the industry, but more than likely isn't, right? And that kind of forwards me into quality. So people ask me a lot, you hate Brinkley, don't you? No, I don't hate Brinkley. When people compare a 1999 Fleetwood Terry fifth wheel to a Brinkley Z3100, here's what I tell people. I would rather have a leaking, watch this, I'd rather have a leaking water intrusion Brinkley 31Z or Z3100 than I would a 1999 Fleetwood Terry. A lot of you are going to think, wow, that's a hot take. You're so full of crap. A 1999 is way better put together than a Brinkley today. I totally understand why you think that because most people think that the frames from 1985, 1992, 2004 are way better than they are today. That's simply not true. Okay. First off, if you actually go and look at junkyards, you go look at actual what I call wholesale lots, You actually go and physically go through a lot of these units that are older, 20 plus years old, and you go look at the sidewalls separating from the back, you start seeing I-beam cracks in the frame, you start seeing water damage all over the place, you remove paneling on the fiberglass or the interior wall, and you see rotting wood. That is how they were built. A lot of the older units were put together through a pinch roll system. Now, what that means is they have a wood constructed interior, the same thing they do with aluminum sided trailers today and have done with aluminum sided trailers for what? Ever, for decades. And they put the fiberglass and the glue on and they rolled it. That's how they did it. They put it through an industrial roller. If you go look at the lamination process that Brinkley does, that Grand Design does, Forest, a lot of Forest River, not every Forest River, but a lot of Forest River, Keystone, Jayco. If you actually go and pound on some of these walls, they're solid. Now, you're all going to point to the frame because of all the Grand Design frame failure stuff. Totally understand that. Okay, that's on the, and to this day, I will tell you that's on Grand Design. Most people are going to argue and say, no, that's on Lippert. But Lippert does what, 90% of the frames? And not every frame fails with every manufacturer. Okay. Now, the reality is if you actually look at heavy machine equipment, you look at railroad trains, you go look at big semi trucks, their frames crack too. Even the older ones that were built so well back in the day, they don't build them like they used to. There are some things I agree with. Okay. And if you go look at the video I did on this, I agree with people that cabinetry was better in the 1990s and early 2000s than they are today. 100%. I will agree with that statement. I'll even agree that a lot of the plumbing that was put into a lot of units back in the early 2000s is better than what they put in units like Brinkley, like Rockwood, like Keystone Cougar. I will agree with those two statements. But to tell me that the electrical's better, that the refrigerators were better, that the frames were better, is simply not an intelligent statement. Sorry, I'll lose subscribers saying that. But it's just simply, you simply cannot sit and tell me that quality is better in 1982 than it is in 2025. Now, I'm going to do a separate video about COVID units another day. I will get to that point. But the reality is quality is better today overall than it was in 1988, 1994, 2005. And if you want better proof, wait until I do the video about Weekend Warrior and its history. Okay. Now, last thing I really want to talk about is the PR problem we're having. The biggest PR problem we're having is silence now. We were having a PR problem about CEOs trying to convince people about less than half of 1% of frames fail. And then they go get Josh the RV nerd to say that publicly on his YouTube channel. And then they go and grab like 5 or 6 other guys to try to back that up. And now we're in a class action lawsuit against Grand Design. So it's like, well, you just can't do percentages. You can't write books in people's comments section when everybody in Indiana knows exactly what's going on. I mean, it's a small state, folks. Indiana is a very small state. Everybody knows each other. And while there's some drama and some high school drama here and there, if you're an RV manufacturer and you want to sit in a car that's $150,000, $200,000 car and call people blowhards and call people names, I don't see Don Clark doing that. I don't see Doug Getter doing that. Never saw Pete Legal do that when he was alive. Never see Bob Martin or Jeff at Keystone or Matt over at Winnebago or any of these guys. I don't see Marcus Lemonis coming on and going, hey, the Honey Badger's a blowhard because he talks crap about Camping World. I don't see that. I don't see John from Blue Compass RV going online and complaining. There's only 2 people that come in my comment section. One's a YouTuber, and the other one is a manufacturer PR representative or owner. And it's like, dude, if you're that worried about little old me, that's problematic. Especially when everybody's buzzing about certain things in Indiana, about certain companies selling in the middle of a negotiation of selling. Your best act, if you're not selling, is just stay quiet. Don't say anything. When I mentioned that Winnebago was making another run at Alliance, did the Brady boys come on my comment section? No. Did they sit there and call me names? No. So why is it only one person in the whole world wants to call me names? Why would you want to make an enemy out of me? See, that's the difference, right? That's the difference between a manufacturer that cares about people and a manufacturer that doesn't. A manufacturer that cares about people understands that there are going to be times when consumers don't want to talk to the manufacturer because they feel like they're getting nowhere. So they reach out to advocates. They reach out to people like myself, Greg Carson now, Pete West. They reach out to Liz Amazing. They reach out to Wingman Wisdom. They reach out to people that they like and trust, that they follow, that are going to like be in their corner. And the manufacturers that do it right are the ones that actually don't hide. They actually contact. Like I got contacted by a manufacturer 3 weeks ago because I did a video about someone's front cap falling apart. Hey, can we have the customer info? We'd like to take care of them. No, but I'll let them know to call you direct. They were appreciative of it. So we just need to have a better understanding of that stuff. And when it comes to quality, and I'm going to dive deeper into quality, you want to actually watch this video right here.